Hello, in this video I'm going to show you the current state of the Kubernetes Tooling Che Plugin with an example of working on Node.js application. The work on the plugin is still in progress and it's not yet fully functional, but it already works pretty stable in a sidecar container and currently allows deploy the applications, manage the cluster resources, switching between different namespaces, view logs. Let's say here is some Node.js application which I'm working on. To start a new Che workspace, I'm using the dev file where the Kubernetes Tooling Che plugin is declared as a workspace component. I have Che server already started on my Minikube. Let's pass the dev file link to the factory. Che server started creating my workspace. I skipped the stage in the video. So my workspace is started with the project sources successfully cloned. I see the Kubernetes plugin also is here. There is a set of plugins commands, but the Kubernetes view doesn't show the configured clusters. It's because the plugin relies on a kubeconfig, that is a configuration for kubectl utility. With chectl, I can set up the access to my local cluster from Che workspace. For that, I'm going to use command chectl workspace inject. -k option specifies that I want to inject my local kubeconfig, and -c to specify the container where the Kubernetes plugin is running. In future, I plan to improve that command to be able to specify the plugin name, which is already known, instead of the container ID. So let's inject. Everything is okay. Refresh the page, and now I should see the clusters. Yep, I see the clusters resources. Here is my app sources. Currently we are working on the possibility to execute the commands from that context menu, so I'll use the commands delete instead for now. Let's create a separate Kubernetes namespace to hold on our work and to not worry about affecting content in other namespaces. Open the namespace YAML file and execute the Kubernetes create command. Namespace is created. Let's switch to operate in the created namespace. Call the Kubernetes use namespace command and pass the name of the namespace. Yeah, TS says it. Everything is okay. Clusters tree indicates that we are actually working in our namespace. Now let's spin up a deployment for our application. To deploy it into the cluster, open the deployment YAML file. It will clone, build, and start the demo application by running a container based on the default Node.js image. Of course, this is not recommended approach, and the code of our application should be a part of an image, but we are using that just for simplicity and because we can't use Docker agent in the cluster. Call the Kubernetes create command. Yep, our deployment is created. Go to workloads to ensure that our pod is here. By the way, I can use Kubernetes explain command to enable annotations in Kubernetes descriptor files to see the meaning of some fields. Also, I can get the application's logs from a pod with the show logs command. It opens a web view with logs. Select pod. Yeah, in black theme it should be a little bit improved. Let's switch to white theme. Yeah, it's better. To make the application visible outside of the cluster, we have to create a Kubernetes service. Open the service YAML file and call create command. To check the running application, I need to get its URL. In service YAML file editor, call the describe command. It opens a new web view with a detailed description of the service. Let's use node port value. Use IP address of my Minikube here, and we can see that our application sample application is running and working. Let's imagine we need to make some changes and redeploy a new version of our application. Open the, for example, index.egs file and change the name of the button get weather to get weather forecast. We need to push the new version of our sources to GitHub using the TID terminal, TID container terminal. Yeah, I will skip that phase in the video. Now we need to deploy a new version of our application into a cluster. Switch to deployment YAML file and call the Kubernetes scale command, pass the 0 number of replicas to stop the previous app, and let's call it again and pass one replica to start port with a new app version. After refreshing the page with our app, we can get the updated version with the new button. That's the current state of the Kubernetes Tooling Che plugin. Thank you for your attention.